Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for watching and for writing with me today. So, we are back in Sudowrite, and today we are actually going to jump into another short story. And this time, we're going to do a dark paranormal academy romance. So, we're still in spooky season, still thinking about the dark stories. And I like writing dark anyway, so we like it dark and spicy. I'm actually going to start with not too much spice on this story, just as we're getting going. And we're going to kind of see how dark it can get and then maybe see how spicy it can get, because I know a lot of people wonder about the software and what it can do as far as darker pieces, spicier pieces. So you're going to see I have kind of, again, pretty minimal in most of the boxes in Story Engine. This is just for a new project. I've built everything out so we don't have to go, you don't have to sit and watch me type everything. So it's a Dark Paranormal Academy romance, and here's what I have in my style box. Dark, gritty, and erotic, even though we don't really know how erotic we're going to get quite yet, but I kind of like to just set it up to be sexy. Lots of sensory description, show don't tell. A lot of people put the show don't tell in there. Use lots of modern, playful, sexy dialogue. I really like to use as many descriptors about the kind of dialogue that I want as I can get in here. And I like using words like modern or contemporary as well, because I do feel like that gets you dialogue that's a little less fluffy, I guess. And dynamic sentences, same kind of thing. It really helps sort of get a good flow. We've talked about the match my style bit up here, and some of these things came out of the match my style when I did that with my style. Dynamic sentences, intense emotions, things like that is part of my natural writing style. So I like being able to include those. And then use explicit language, graphic sexual details, hot, intimate. So you see how I'm really kind of letting it know it can really do its thing when it gets to the sexy parts. But I also feel like it helps building up to those sexy parts, which is kind of even the more important part, right? You want that sexual tension to be in there pretty much the whole time, especially when you're writing shorter pieces or serial pieces. And then I've got my first person POV in present tense. I think you guys, anybody that watched the steampunk horror um, story knows that I went for a present tense in that one, but it did not actually come out that way because Sudowrite, and I'm thinking a lot of these AI writing aids, they sort of default to the past tense in fiction. And so, and I didn't have it capitalized that time, but I have pretty much discovered that when you capitalize it, and especially if you put it at the end, it's really going to read that and recognize it as it's writing the prose. Okay, so that's pretty much it. I maxed out. You can see 39 out of 40 words, maxed it out pretty much as I can. Okay, so we're going to move along. Nothing in my synopsis. Again, I kind of just came up with this story on my own and used my own information. So I did not generate a lot of stuff with Sudowrite this time. And check out the characters. Again, with a short story, you don't need a lot of characters. This is really a scene between two people. There's nobody else in this scene. So it's really nice. I only have to worry about Tabitha and Gregory, my two characters. And so my idea for this story was sort of a Witches Academy, kind of a Hogwarts spoof, but for, more new adult age. I don't write a lot of teenager stuff. I don't know. Academy is sort of, on that verge of young adult, but I think of it more as new adult, and I could put that in the genre, but I'm not going to because I don't think it really matters. So you'll notice that I didn't actually put a lot of information about any of these characters. I'm going more for character types rather than a lot of really detailed information about them. Because I don't want it to really be bogged down. Again, this is a short story. And when you add descriptions, the AI tends to mention those descriptions over and over again. I want Tabitha to be wearing glasses, but I'm not going to mention that in her description because if I do, it's going to use up words later on mentioning her glasses, and it doesn't need to be brought up that often. And this is one thing that I think really helps is just don't even worry about physical descriptions unless it is something you want brought up or referenced over and over again. So there might be other things. Again, I've used words like cute nerd, good girl, white witch. She's the point of view character. So that's kind of where we're going with this. And then Gregor is the bad boy. He's the Luciferian witch. I'm not really sure what that is. I just kind of made that up, kind of a not sort of a demony situation going on, maybe. Who knows? But he's a bad boy. He's a bully. The tsundere, I don't know if anyone is familiar with Otome genre of manga games, things like that. I actually just sort of learned about it recently, but I love a lot of the character types that Otome uses for the male characters, especially, well, for all the characters, honestly. I think it's just kind of cool. And it really encapsulates something sort of specific and interesting about a character. And this is actually the first time that I have put one of these descriptors in to one of my characters in Sudowrite. So I'm really kind of excited to see. We're going to see what kind of comes of that. And then the only other thing I have on here is that it's called Obscura Academy and or Obscuria Academy. You could tell I spent a lot of time on that one. But it doesn't really matter what the academy name is at this point, even for me. It's just to let the AI know where this is taking place. And I might even, yeah, setting, um, just so that it knows. That's where we are. And knowing just this bit of information, College for Witches, it's going to immediately know Academy. And we had it in the genre description as well. So that should be all we really need to give it the information to get going. Okay. So here is the setup for the scene. Again, I use this sort of really this is the format. When you look down here, it tells you the format of how it wants you to paste this outline. And it starts with the act one, has a name, and then goes down the chapters. You can add more acts. You can add as many chapters as you want. It's pretty flexible. I keep it just like this for short stories. I never need, sometimes I don't even need all 5 chapters. It really depends on how it goes. But I like to start with my concept. So in this concept, Tabby's the good girl, the white witch, and she gets paired up with Gregor, the bad boy in potions class. And so that's where the story starts out. Okay, so we're going to just generate this first set of beats. And I'm not going to get into a lot of details about the beats, but I did want to point out this section here that I put in the top. This is another place where you can add more information that will help the AI get a better idea of what's going on. This scene is a long, playful banter conversation between Tabitha and Gregor. It's enemies to lovers, include sensory details, show Tabitha's intense emotions, bullying, and romantic feelings, make it hot and intimate. Again, you'll notice some of these things are repeated from the style box. Great. I think the more you repeat it, the better. I've got 6 different beats here. Again, I came up with these on my own, and it basically is just Gregor coming to Tabby's dorm room, her basically telling him that she's going to do the project herself. And that he doesn't need to help her because she doesn't want to spend time with him. And of course, he makes it difficult. I I don't really have a ton of advice for the beats other than I kind of just use stream of consciousness once I have a summary of what the chapter is going to do. Let me go ahead and start generating this, and I will talk about the beats a little bit more. So here we go. Going to use again the most accurate, because otherwise, if you use Best Prose, it will really just go off the rails. All right, so let's see what we get. Right. Yeah, so we've got first person, and I think we've got spreading across the space. Yeah, okay, yeah, he moves nonchalantly. Okay, great. Look, they got the present tense this time. So that's really, really awesome. Ooh, keep scrolling. So we're expecting maybe 800 to 1,000 words on this because I've got 6 beats and they're pretty beefy beats, as you can tell. So with the beats, sorry, see if I can keep up with it a little bit so you guys can kind of see it writing out. So with the beats, as I said, I'll start with a summary of what I know I want to happen in the chapter, try to make sure that I have the important emotional beats, how the main characters are feeling. In particular, in this case, since it's first person, the point of view character is even more important. And I just kind of go from there, and then I'll just sort of flesh it out and write out as much as I possibly can about what I know, and then I split it up and number it to the best of my ability. So that seems to work pretty well. And again, we can generally expect around 200 or so words for each beat, and it generates 2 at a time. You can tell from the numbers here: 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6. So here's the total word count: 951 words. That's really not too bad. Really not too bad. Okay, so, and as far as sort of the tone of it, the style of it, it's really not too bad. Look, I know you're not actually going to help me with this project for class, so I'll just do it all myself. I tell him, my voice dripping with annoyance. Yeah, it's a little fluffy. Gregor doesn't seem fazed by my words. Instead, he nonchalantly moves to my bed and lounges on it. Wicked grin spreading across his face. Sounds good to me. My anger flares. Why the hell is he still here? And why is he just sitting there watching me with those infuriatingly piercing eyes? See, they put that in there. I didn't put anything about his eyes in the description. I clench my fist, trying to remain calm. If you're not going to help me, then just leave. What if you need help? He asked, a teasing lilt in his voice. It's maddening how cute his banter sounds when deep down I know we're polar opposites. Luciferians and white witches don't work well together. So she snaps at him. Yeah, I mean, the dialogue really isn't too bad. Again, it's always, it's usually adding a little bit more than it needs to when it comes to just little added, unable to hold back any longer. That doesn't need to be there. But as we know, this is just a starting point. You always have to do a little bit of tweaking with your AI. So excellent. But I think it's a really good start of the story. Oh, yeah. Let's see where it ended up. So she's torn. I'm not going to tell you all of the cute little things that go on in here, but he does something really sneaky, trying to distract her so that she can't get any work done. He's actually secretly got a crush on her. That's the tsundere. That he's kind of mean on the outside, but he's actually got a real soft spot for cute nerds like her. So, and then at the end, so yeah, so he wants he says he won't pick on anybody ever again if she'll hang out with him all night, and so she struggles with that. Taking a deep breath, I close the distance between us and press my lips to his, feeling the heat between us ignite. Our tongues dance together in a passionate, fiery embrace, and I find myself drowning in the intoxicating sensations. Woo! All right, Gregor, I murmur against his lips, my resolve crumbling. You have a deal. With that, our kisses deepen and our bodies entwine, lost in the dangerous erotic game we began to play. It's so great. It's that they're in an erotic game now. And yes, as usual, the last line is almost always a little throwaway line. But honestly, ending it right here, awesome, right? All right, Gregor, you have a deal. So this is the first scene, and I will continue on with this story and flesh it out a little bit more. You guys, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, and I am going to also include the link to my Substack account where you can actually read the entirety of these stories for free on Substack right now. So definitely go check that out. And we will see you next time, where we will start another short story or possibly a serial. Feel free to leave me a comment and let me know what kind of stories you want to see. Should we go darker? Should we go sexier? Should we do something completely different? There are so many options. So we'll see you guys next time. Happy writing!